Most likely.
Banner's a good way of putting it.
That's where I get some of my laughter at night. Well, obviously, everybody's here for Pro Day. I told the guys after practice this morning, and I said, there's a lot of people here, but it's not just because of these 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever, how many guys we got out here. It's because of everybody and what they've done and what they've created. And I do believe that. I mean, we've got some great players right here today, but I think what those guys have done collectively has even given them a chance to be better players and be recognized that much more. So this is still a team sport. Obviously, those guys are out there on their own today, but I think what has really kind of transpired over the last 3 or 4 years is kind of showing right now.
You remember what your first pro day here was like? Did you ever envision from there to?
Well, the first pro day we were outside because we didn't even have the bubble up.
The bubble had to come down in spring break.
It was about 35 degrees and the wind was howling and the quarterback was trying to throw and it was not very good. So, but there weren't many people here either, and I think that's kind of what I just alluded to from the start. Is it's not just Ahmad, it's not just Dez, it's a combination of a lot of things, and it's not me, but it's these guys that have dedicated a lot of time and effort and really have created a different environment which allows us all to look better and play better.
Is this a piece of what you talk about when you talk about not being a top 10 team, being a top 10 program?
Yeah, this is it. This is what you want to kind of create that expectation. And I think if you ask some of the younger guys, it's exciting, but there's also throws a little pressure on too. And so we got to do a good job as we continue to grow to keep that balance, to not get completely enamored with it just being about going to the NFL, but also about all the other things that we do with these guys. As they grow, it's a process. It doesn't happen right now. It doesn't just happen like it did for Ahmad. Maybe it has to happen. Doesn't happen like it did for Dez. Maybe there's guys like Brian Cook who maybe only started for 1 year, but in the long run are going to be play a lot more football.
What kind of an impact for a guy like Sauce, who has the potential to go top 10 in the draft, what kind of impact does that have just for your program, recruiting-wise, and just overall the image of UC football?
Well, those things go so far. And we always talk about that these guys see better than they hear. The 17-year-olds do as well. And, our ability to not only have this, but, look forward to that, draft day where, it's going to be some infomercial, a lot of coverage and a lot of things, whether it's Ahmad or any of those guys, Kobe or Dez or B, all those guys. And I think that, while the things don't change, and just like we talked about, we're going to the Big 12, but we're not going to change who we recruit. We're going to recruit the same kids. Now, it might give us an opportunity because of what we've done, in the last 4 years and what these guys, the standard these guys have set, to maybe land some more of those kids that maybe we haven't in the past. But we don't want to change who we are. We don't want to change how we've done things, but we do want to grow.
You've talked a lot about the impact Brady has had on the whole culture here. Seeing some of the numbers these guys have posted at the combine and stuff like that, is that just another testament to the work he does?
It is, and it's his whole crew. And what I love about it is Brady's not about just these testing numbers. And the reason we've been successful, and he's been probably the cornerstone to everything we've done, or his program has been the cornerstone to everything we've done, is because it's not. It's about building football players. And in the long run, you still get those guys to have those numbers because you got really good athletes. But that whole thing we talk about is the culture, the environment is created for us most of the time in that weight room. And he's done an unbelievable job. I know this is one of his big days. Just like the combine, he asked me if he wanted to go over to the combine, and I had no intentions of going to the combine. But when I looked at him and he wanted to go, I told him, I called my wife and said, I'm going to the combine. She's like, why? I said, because Brady wants to. If he wants to go to the draft, I'll be taking him to the draft.
How big is this day for the guys off to the sideline, the current players who are watching this?
Well, I think it's twofold. It's a reality. They all have that dream, and I try to tell them, all the time. I say, I have dreams. I still have a dream to do that. I wake up in the morning and I go to work. It's not about a dream; it's about a passion. So they can see it a little bit. They've got to find out what the passion is, but we also got to continue that balance because, it might not be everybody's, future. We want them to have and strive for that, but there's a lot of other things that are involved in it too. So it's a great thing. It increases the expectations, but we also got to make sure we have a little bit of a balance there that, we don't lose guys because they don't recognize how long it's taken Brian Cook to get where he is. They don't recognize, they've only been here for a year or two, how long it's taken Joe DeBlanco to battle through 3 years of maybe not playing a down, or 4 years, and then play in year 5 and year 6. So when it's like this, then we'll try to remind them of all those different journeys.
What do you tell the kids in terms of trying to impress the number of NFL scouts, coaches, GMs here? What do you tell them?
We don't tell them anything. I don't tell them anything about impressing them. I said I try to get them to relax and say your work has really been done. The game film shows who you are. This is just a combination of those things. You know, don't overstress it. Don't over worry about it. Just be who you are, and try to have them relax a little bit more about it, because it can be stressful.
Right.
I mean, imagine the most intense interview you've ever been in for the biggest job you would ever want.
Right.
And then you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of people and fans and cameras, how you answer every question. So it's the same thing to them. So try to remind them your work has been done. Just relax and have a good time with it.
Luke, is it bittersweet at all watching all this talent going away?
It is. I told you when we went down to the Senior Bowl, it was spent about a couple minutes there reflecting and really kind of like, wow, this is what we've wanted. You know, then you fly away and you're like, oof, that's what we created. Now we've got a lot of work to do. And the same thing, we're gonna be out here and happy and talking to all these guys and selling our guys and be really excited about our guys. Then they're gonna walk out of here and go back up that office and pop on the film and be like, oof, we got a lot of work to do. But that's the joys of it.
You had Vrabel talk to the team after practice today. What's that do for those guys to have him, just speak to them?
We have not had many guys ever talk to the team. And I don't like to try to set things up, but it's for him, for me, obviously we grew up together, so I wouldn't have to tell him to say anything, and it just kind of, it's kind of a very similar voice. But these guys all know these guys are around here today, and I think that I wanted nothing more than to remind them that these guys aren't just here because of Dez and Ahmad and Kobe. They're here because of what they've created too. And he kind of reiterated that, walked up there and kind of talked about culture and kind of talked about what an advantage it is to have a culture, and the things that travel, he said, effort and fundamentals. And it wasn't anything about these guys out here, about the season we had. It was kind of spot on just reminding them that they got a lot of talent out here, and the game of football is played between those lines, and just another opportunity.
I asked him if the two of you were going to get the mat out, and he said he doesn't wrestle, he fights.
Yeah. I have to hear about it all the time. The guys were asking the same thing as we walked off the field. Even Malik Van said, "Hey, who would win in a wrestling match?" He's like, "I don't wrestle him, but I whoop his rear." And now we'll just, since he is the NFL Coach of the Year, we'll just let him go ahead and have his time right now.
You're the college Coach of the Year.
It's been the same way since we've been in college together now. I mean, just let him have his due. And so I told him, did he know who was over on the other side over there? Did he see Zach over there? I said, so just settle down now. I don't want to go get Zach over there and make this thing a battle. So you got to find ways to be able to put people in their place at times, which is hard to do with him.
How cool is that, though? Your best friend, he's the NFL Coach of the Year, you're the college Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I never would have expected that he would ever have done that. It's great. We don't get that much time together, but when we do, we try to make each other better in all different ways.
You like the intensity of your spring practice so far?
We don't lack intensity usually. I think that's what I love about our kids. When the ball goes down in spring, you're going to play a lot more. That's what those guys do. Now we got to, find ways to still be able to play the game of football amongst the intensity that we have, and that's what the older guys that we've had, they were so unique because they played a lot of ball. They could be at that, high intensity level and still be able to play. Right now we're a little younger. We still have that high intensity, but I'm not sure we can, fundamentally stay as sound right now, but that's why they call us coach, and we've got some work to do. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks, Luke.